Here are 8 classic literature books that I think you should read. Number 1, The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. In the beginning, I thought I could assess where this book was going. I've gotten pretty good at guessing endings of TV shows, movies, and even books. But I can say without a doubt that I did not know that this book was heading in that direction. So the book opens up with Basil, who is a painter, and he has just intimately revealed one of his greatest paintings of his whole career. It is a portrait of Dorian Gray. When we are reading him describe Dorian Gray, it comes much more from a place of love and admiration more than just a muse. And even so much so that he proclaims that he will never display this in a larger venue because he put too much of himself in this painting. It's too intimate. Then we are introduced to the character Lord Henry, who is described as a close friend to Basil, and he just has to meet Dorian Gray. During this time of their meeting, Basil finishes his last painting of Dorian Gray. At this point, all hell breaks loose. As I was reading, by the time we got to the middle, that's how I thought the story would end. So imagine my confusion when I still have over 100 pages left. The ending was worth the wait, and it took me on an emotional roller coaster. It first reads as a romance and then turns into this psychological drama tragedy. So I recommend reading that. Number 2, The Telltale Heart by Edgar Allan Poe, which is a gothic horror story. This was first published in 1843, and the story follows a man who is trying to convince us, the readers, that he is sane, yet we are able to come to our own conclusion just by the actions of the character. I like this story. It's super short and easy to read, especially if you're trying to get out of a reading funk or starting to get into reading for fun. You can do it in one sitting and feel accomplished of reading it. And you also get to take a look into Edgar Allan Poe's work. It's definitely not too much horror, but it definitely starts to put you in that space. Recommendation number 3 is Carmilla. This is a Victorian Gothic horror vampire book that actually predates Dracula by 25 years. The story is narrated by Laura, a young woman living in Styria with her father and servants. In her youth, she experiences some unusual experiences, yet they don't make sense to anybody around them. Years later, she gets to meet Carmilla, a young woman described as undeniable beauty and charm. Yet something always seems off about her. Laura begins to experience night terrors and an unidentifiable illness. I think this story is the embodiment of the beginning of Victorian beliefs surrounding women having control of their own sexualities. Book number 4 is Alice's Adventures in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll. This is an all-time classic. You probably read it as a child. I've read it as a child, and I have read it as an adult. I think that the older you get, the more you can enjoy the whimsicalness of the story. Also, I would recommend reading Alice's Adventures in Wonderland as an adult because I think you get a different understanding of the theme of the story. If you don't know Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, it follows Alice as she follows a white rabbit down a hole, and she is thrown into this world of wacky adventures, and we follow her through this time. Book number 5 is The Three Musketeers by Alexandre Dumas. This is an adventurous comedy book and is also a highly adapted book. Even Barbie has a Three Musketeers movie, which I have watched. This book is filled with adventure, comedy, friendship, facing society, all those things wrapped up into one adventure. The story follows 4 friends who are musketeers as they are fighting their way to protect people from courtly and political drama, and also trying to find out what they want to do next in life after they're done being musketeers. Number 6 is The Time Machine by H.G. Wells, which is a science fiction book. The book follows a traveler who builds a time machine, and he is able to travel through different times in life. And the story that we follow him the most on is when he travels 800,000 years in the future from his present time. When he gets there, he thinks that life must be peaceful because the earth is rid of modern day humans. But he yet finds out that they are actually distinct groups. He also finds out that this time is not as peaceful as he thinks, and these same creatures are still facing severe problems. The thing I enjoy about science fiction classics is that we really get a peek into the mind of how people viewed the future and the future of science and the future of our world, and also how to use science fiction to sow their views on political injustices and their view on politics in general. It's an intriguing story all around. And another book that I would recommend by the same author is The Invisible Man by H.G. Wells, which is also a science fiction book, and it also has a little bit of comedy in it. So number 7 is Maurice by E.M. Foster, which is a romance. The story follows Maurice from grade school to adulthood as he deals with being gay in the late 1800s, all while trying to find love in the process. This is truly a book of exploration of society, and it gives us a happy ending not only for the character but for the reader. And last but not least, number 8 is Persuasion by Jane Austen. This is Jane Austen's last novel, and it also premieres one of her most mature protagonists. The story follows Anne Elliot, a 27-year-old woman who was once previously engaged, but broke off the engagement after being persuaded by others around him that he was not a good fit for her. Years later, they get a second chance to meet. This book is the romantic trope of second chances. The writing is a little different than Jane Austen's earlier work, like Pride and Prejudice, but it is still great, and I think you should take a look at it if you haven't already. And those are the 8 classic books that I would recommend you reading. If you have read any of these books, let me know your thoughts of how they were to you in the comments below. And look out for my other videos, so I'll be talking about some books other than classics and giving some more recommendations on those. With that being said, thanks for watching this video. If you aren't having a great day, I hope you have a better one tomorrow. Don't forget to read the page of something that you enjoy. And don't be a jive turkey. Like, share, and subscribe or not. It's your prerogative, but thanks for watching this video anyway, and I'll see you later.